Hello, and welcome to another fascinating episode of you watching me cook myself dinner. Tonight's episode is fantastic and centers around a bechamel sauce. What is that? It's white sauce, but fancy, except it's not actually fancy, it's just white sauce. All right, but before we do the white sauce, we're gonna do a little pre-cooking, and then we're gonna mix a bunch of shit with the sauce, and then we're gonna heat that all up, and it's gonna be delicious. Specifically, we are making a garlic butter shrimp mac and cheese. What? Yeah, it's gonna be cool. And then also cream spinach, like steakhouse style cream spinach. Like no joke, it's real cream spinach. It'll be great. As usual, we're gonna start with a cocktail. We're going Bloody Marys again today. We have vodka and we have Bloody Mary mix. Basically, I want to get through this Bloody Mary mix. That's kind of what's driving the decision-making process here. All right, cup of ice. Glug, glug, glug. Oops. Just the right amount of vodka there. We got lots of pots and pans in this episode, which is going to be kind of a cleanup bear, but that's okay. I got someone for that. Anywho, so yeah, lots of pots and pans, mostly making the sauce because we got to do so many different things at different times, coming in not cold. You'll see, it's a lot of pots and pans. There might be not that many ingredients, and there sure as shit is not a whole lot of prep work, which is fantastic. I'm really happy and excited about not having to cut up a bunch of stuff and do a bunch of prep work, because that's always a pain in the ass. It really is. All right, let's just finish off the cocktail making here. Just a little bit of the Worcestershire. So primarily, when we're talking about a bechamel white sauce, it's butter. I start with some butter, and we're going to add to the butter a little bit of flour. Now, I know we do low-carb stuff here, but the entirety of flour we're using is a quarter cup. It's about 30 total grams of carbohydrate, which gets dispersed amongst, I don't know, like 80 servings of sauce. So do the math, and it's really inconsequential. So yeah, that's what we're doing there. Anyway, yeah, so you make this roux just being fat and flour that you kind of heat up. We're not going to brown it like we would in a Southern or New Orleans sort of style. That's not what we're doing. It's got to be a white sauce. In fact, we're not even going to use black pepper. We're going to use white pepper because we want our white sauce to be white, even though it's not going to matter. And the reason it's not going to matter is after we make our white sauce, we're actually going to convert it from a bechamel to a like a meringue or something like that. And basically what we're going to do is take that bechamel, toss in a couple of egg yolks, not cook the egg yolks because that would be kind of gross. Toss in the egg yolks and let them kind of heat into that mix. They'll pasteurize, don't worry, it's food safe and all that shit. But anyway, that turns into this creamy sort of color, and then we're free to do crazy shit like mix it with spinach, which we'll do later, or mix it with a noodles and cheese and shrimp and other things, and that will be fantastic. We're going to be doing that first. But before we can really get started with any of that, you need to hit that a little bit. I got to do some pre-cooking. Now, pre-cooking, what I mean here is so much shit. Basically, we'll come back to the cast iron in a minute here. I need to cook my spinach, sorta, and I need to cook my shrimp, sorta. So we'll do that first. For the spinach, I don't want to boil it or anything like that. It'll just get nasty. We don't want any of that shit. All we're going to do is just let it touch a little bit of olive oil in a pan, and that's it. And then I'm actually going to use this contraption here, which is your standard colander, except with some cheesecloth in there. I'm going to put the spinach in here after we cook it and just squeeze the shit out of it to get all the water and other moisture out, because that's just going to be nasty. We don't want that. We don't want water. What we want is fat, and that's going to come from the bechamel sauce that we dump in here soon. Okay, so I'm just heating up these pans over a medium-ish heat. Let me toss a little butter. Which one? I'll do the shrimp in the little pan here. So I'm going to throw some butter in there. I already added olive oil, and the reason we add the olive oil, of course, is so the butter doesn't burn. That's going to be kind of key tonight in pretty much everything we do. We're using a lot of butter, and we don't want to brown it in our sauce because we want our sauce to be white. I am disadvantaged though, I'm gonna be honest. My pots here are kind of garbage. They're truly kind of garbage, and that's going to make it difficult to keep my sauce pearly white. Because little bits of shit are gonna get in there and they're gonna stick to the sides and they're gonna burn, and it's not gonna hold the heat well, and I have to add too much heat, and it's just not gonna be a good time. Well, it might be a good time. I don't know. We'll find out one way or the other. Just melt all this here, heat that up. Okay. So from the comments from last time, I turned the music up. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Actually, I can't hear the music at all. It's not like that's in the background or something. That Bloody pretty good. To be honest, I'm a little over the Bloody Marys. But that's okay. That's what we got. Anyway, while that's heating up, since we're doing a garlic shrimp, I do have to kind of add garlic, or it's not really a garlic shrimp. So just a couple cloves for the cooking process here. I'm just gonna mince those up real quick. But literally, there's like no other prep work here. I got my mise en place all set out here. For the mac and cheese, we're using a sharp white cheddar and some mozzarella in there. We want the mozzarella because that gives it the stringiness, right? So when you eat the mac and cheese, the cheese makes strings. That's a thing. So that's what we're doing for the cheese. Ton of butter, of course. We always use a ton of butter. And this quasi-French influenced whatever cooking. What else? We got a bunch of milk. I need more milk than that. 4 cups. That goes into the sauce itself directly. Shrimp, egg whites, or egg yolks, sorry, and some flour. That's it. Oh, and since we don't use, I don't eat like the carbs. I got the fake noodles here. It's spaghetti. I know it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be a spaghetti-based mac and cheese. Maybe the pasta bake. We'll call it a pasta bake. That sounds good. I guess. I don't know. We're kind of winging it, you know? Doesn't matter. All right, quick little mincety-do here. Cut that off. Yep. Okie doke. Oh, my producer's telling me I need to give a shout out to my mom. Shout out, Mom. Okay, back to mincing my garlic up. Yeah, I film all this on my phone, and it's kind of far away, and I can't read or see anything. I have no idea how many people are watching, if any. I assume that there's some from time to time. People drop in, whatever. Sometimes maybe none. I don't know. I don't think anyone watches it all the way. On YouTube, the average length of viewing is about 38 seconds. Yeah, so they see my beautiful face, and they're like, not for me. That's cool. You know, different strokes for different folks. All right, garlic's in there. Kind of move that around a bit. And what I want to do here, I don't really want to cook the garlic per se. I just kind of want to get the flavor of the garlic all into that butter and oil, because that's what I'm going to be cooking my shrimp in. So here's my shrimp, previously frozen, now currently defrosted. That's about ready to go. Once I start seeing some color on the garlic here, then it's time. Let's see how this guy's doing. So my spinach pan is got some oil, almost ready. The oil's not quite got that shine on it yet to let me know that it's ready. This is probably good to go though. In with the shrimp. Yep. You know, I have a microphone set up just to capture that sizzle for you. Might be a bit hard to hear with the wonderful jazz music going on. Jazz. It's not really jazz music. I guess it's jazz music. It's swung. It's a little combo group. It's got no royalties attached to it. That's why we're playing it. All right, this stuff's ready for the chopped spinach. All right, so I went ahead and defrosted this bag of frozen chopped spinach. And like I said, I don't want any water or moisture, so I'm not going to boil it. If this were fresh, I'd destem it, and then I would probably cook it here and then blanch it, throw it in some cold water to stop the cooking action, and then cut it up into little bits with a knife, rather than shredding it in some other way, because you don't want to make it too nasty. This is probably mechanically done. There's a ton of water in there. Like, that's gross. That's all right. Most of that's going to go away soon enough. All right. And we need a thing. Needs a little more heat's what that needs. Yeah, this is the problem with the frozen stuff. It develops these ice chunks and then turns into a soup, which is kind of gross. Shrimp are shrimping along there. Come on, more heat. Let's cook this a little bit. I don't know why they do that with the frozen stuff, adding all the water. There's got to be some reason. Don't need that anymore. Okay. There we go. So this is basically looking like it's simmering. It'd be great if there was not, in the first place, any water in that bag. Maybe I should have dumped it. That probably would have been a better idea. All right, let's give these shrimp a flip. They're already pink, which means they're pretty much good to go. You just want to make sure that they're not translucent anymore, and of course, that's about it. Most people overcook their shrimp, and shrimp are way better when you don't overcook them. Just throwing that out there. You can take that little piece of advice with you. It's super useful. But how do I know when my shrimp are done? Well, you can't see through them. That's it. They're done. Shrimp is essentially cholesterol and protein. There's like nothing else in there. There's no carbohydrates, not really any other fat other than the cholesterol. If that even is a fat molecule in a macro. I don't know. It's like nothing there. Good source of protein. And if you have loose stool, protein can help harden that up for you. Okay. This kind of heat and evaporate. It's essentially boiling the spinach. Ugh, not my favorite thing in the world, but it's kind of what's going on right now. All right, this is just the pre-cooking. Oh, while this pre-cooking is going on, I actually do need to heat some milk. So, get this pot here with Mr. Ladle, and I'm going to dump 4 cups of milk in. And when I say milk, I mean actual milk, not milk-flavored water, which they also in the store will refer to as 2% or 1% or non-fat milk. That is literally water without the milk in it. Or they put a little bit of the milk in it, just to make you feel like you're getting something, I guess. It's garbage. No fat. You need your fat to get your vitamins. That's what Julia Child said. She was, I don't know, seemed like she led a good life, had a good time. There's no real reason to measure this. We're going to be kind of eyeballing it and then going for texture, so I might throw a little bit in there for evaporation. Now, a lot of things you might read might tell you that when you're making a bechamel sauce, you really don't want warm or hot milk, and that is totally false. And I'm speaking with authority here because I just watched a video by Wolfgang Puck on this subject, and that was actually the inspiration for tonight's meal. This is all covered in his masterclass. If you want to learn about cooking stuff more, the Wolfgang Puck masterclass specifically makes these 2 things. These are dishes that he does in his restaurant, Cut, which is a great place, by the way. Best steak I've ever had in my entire life was at Cut. The one in Vegas. I think there's one in LA also. Pretty sure there is. I don't know. Okay, this spinach is looking like it's cooked. It's got the right kind of color. Doesn't really need to cook per se, and since it was previously frozen, it was already kind of done up. I'm gonna give the shrimp another minute. They're pretty close, but not quite there. They just need a little bit more time. And this milk here, I'm gonna bring it to close to a boil. Now I want this milk as hot as possible without it actually boiling. And the reason for that is when I add it to the roux that I'm gonna make, roux again being butter and flour, when I add it to that, if it's cold, you're gonna get lumps. At least that's what Wolfgang says. I don't actually know because I've never made this before in my life. This is totally seat of the pants, making this shit up as I go. But Wolfgang, who's Austrian and therefore must know about precision or something, Hitler was Austrian, right? Okay. Anyway. Okay, I'm about ready to call this spinach done. Yeah, let's call this spinach done. I'm gonna call those shrimp almost done. I can still see a little bit of translucent bits in the middle there, so I'm gonna let them go for another minute. But this is done. So this I'm sticking into my cheesecloth lined colander. Oh, that sounds lovely. And I need the thing to get all the stuff off. Don't want to waste any of this. Yeah, so last week's episode was a real pain in the ass. Hour and 22 minutes it turned out to be, just from cooking so many freaking little dishes that were all independent of each other and not related and all that. Man, what a pain in the ass. All right, so this stuff I'm just going to stick in a bowl, I guess. Here's a bowl. Look, bowl. Shrimp and stuff into bowl. Let's get all the good juices in there. We'll come back to this later when we actually assemble things for our mac and cheese. Until then, I don't need that. In fact, I don't need this. I'm gonna put this somewhere. Seems like a good place to put that. Okay, so I don't kill myself by burning all of my oven mitts are missing. Been relocated. Oh, not in that drawer. Here we are, second drawer. Okay, let's move this. You get promoted to here, and to that, and to this is off. Okay, now we're gonna start working on our sauce, the real centerpiece or key ingredient or whatever of the shit. Before I do that though, I want my milk to be damn close to boiling. So, you know, we're gonna take a here. All right, so let me think about assembly here as we go. We're gonna make the sauce. I need a bunch of pots and pans. I got that kind of lined up for that here. I need this guy. I'm actually gonna do the sauce assembly there. Ladle is for the milk. We don't wanna have one of those nasty milk crusts, so we will stir that periodically. Here's the sauce. We need a whisk. Whisk is very important. We're gonna be constantly whisking this thing to make sure that it turns out well. That blah blah, and then I'm gonna strain it. So even if you fuck things up and you got some lumps, that's cool. I am going to be using a strainer here over another pot and pouring the sauce through it and kind of pushing it through with a spoon, which I happen to have. Yeah. In fact, I will need a few spoons for tasting. You should always taste your food as you go, right? They say that on like the TV and stuff. That's how you know it's true. It's not on Fox News. It's actually true. Taste as you go. These olives keep getting in the way. Hard to get my drink on. Just waiting for that milk. Okay, so let's see here. And then for actual assembly, we'll put all the macaroni stuff together in here and then transfer it to this cast iron pan, which is then gonna go in the oven with a Parmesan crust. If we ate the carbs, we'd put some panko on top. Yeah, panko. Yeah, fancy Japanese. Or just some breadcrumbs of whatever fashion were available, just to kind of brown it, you know, and give it a top. We're just using the Parmesan cheese though, just because, yeah, not doing the carbs. So that's cool. All right, and then for the spinach, I'll just do it all in this same dish that I cooked the spinach. Just give it a little bit of a rinse here. All right, when that's ready, we'll make the cream spinach in the same pan. So efficient. This is fantastic. All right, well, while I'm waiting for that, I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze the living shit out of this spinach here to try and get all that nasty green water out. Yeah, can you see this? Can you see this? Oh, you can't really see it. Oh, man, let me get a thing. I'll show you. See that green liquid coming out there? I mean, it's water. Put it on a different background, white background. Probably still can't see it. I don't know. There's a bunch of water in spinach, right? And it doesn't taste great. It's just water. And when you mix water with fat, it still doesn't taste great. It's water. Oh, that's scalding hot. Okay, that was a mistake. I am not going to do that right now. That needs to cool. In fact, I can cool it forcefully with water, which will also stop the cooking action of the spinach. I don't want to overcook this. There we go. Ah, still hot. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's it. Get out. Get out. Oh, it's like milking a cow. I didn't do that. Oh, that's freaking hot. All right, well, I got plenty of time before I'm gonna actually need that. Whew. It's so hot though. Why are you gonna be so hot? Why can't you just chill? Why can't you be cool, spinach? Oh man, so hot. I feel like Paris Hilton saying that. Oh, it's so hot. So hot. Yeah, I mean, you put it in an ice bath for a reason. There we go. Squeeze all that shit out. Get out of there. Get all that green, nasty shit out. Cheesecloth is amazing stuff. If you don't have cheesecloth lying around, you should get some cheesecloth. 1,000,001 uses for cheesecloth. All right, how's our milk doing here? Well, this ladle is now extremely hot because it's been in there. Yeah, these pots and pans are not gonna be super great for today's task. I can put that there for now. But that's okay. All right, so while that milk is getting closer to a boil, let's actually get going here. So medium heat in our awesome pan. This pan is so awesome, the handle is actually only attached on one end and it kind of pivots. It's super safe. Good stuff. It's all right, it will do the job unless the handle falls off, in which case it will kind of do the job, just take more effort. But if you drink more, it's easier. Spicy. All right. Into my actual saucepan, I'm going to put a bunch of butter. I cut it up into little bits, so that it melts faster. And we're looking at like, I don't know, like 5 or something tablespoons of butter. Unsalted butter, because we're going to control the seasoning later with actual salt, which they would have added to salted butter, obviously, but we want to have control over that. Maybe we want more salt or less salt. You can't go less salt with salted butter because it's already homogenized into a chunk of fat. All right, butter's melting. The key here, apparently, according to Wolfgang, who is not does not have an effeminate German accent, which is the only German accent that I can do. Apparently, Wolfgang, the key here is not to let anything brown or burn. No little bits of burnt shit in the pot. We don't want that. Etc. 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 Okay, letting that do its bit. Milk's there. The milk's probably going to develop a film as it heats, and that's okay. I don't really give a shit, to be honest. I don't want to boil it because this is going to get shit everywhere. There we go. All right, so our butter is almost completely melted. Next up, I'm going to add flour and then whisk the shit out of it as we go because I don't want it to clump up and I don't want the flour to brown. So that's the problem, right? We're trying not to brown stuff. Keep that temperature kind of as low as possible while still working. Add the flour. I'm going to go a little bit of a time at a time here. So I'm going to add about half of my flour. And pay attention as we go. I know, it's great that I am doing this totally amateur hour and don't have, a camera that can show you what this looks like. This looks like egg yolk currently, and it smells like butter. It's pretty good, but we need more. The consistency is not quite where I want it to be. There we go. So I'm looking for a consistency of, I guess kind of where we are here. Let me reduce that heat a little bit because I don't want it to brown. And the consistency is, it's like, it's not a paste or anything. It's like a thick stew. Yeah, that's a good description of it. A thick stew. And the reason I'm moving it around, I don't want anything to brown or cook. Now, if I was doing a southern kind of dish, I would maybe let this go for a long time and come up with a brown kind of roux, but that's not what we're doing today. We're not doing a brown roux, we're doing a white sauce, which needs to look white. And it's important to get all the little bits around the sides there, because that's the part that's gonna cook and turn brown and give you little black burnt bits of shit in your sauce, which you don't want. All right, so tiny bit more fleur. Yep, that smells great. Now we're gonna let this kind of cook for a couple minutes because we don't want it to taste like raw flour, right? That's really a kind of gross flavor. All right, the milk's got a bit of a skin and it's pretty warm. Just gonna keep that stirred up. All right, how are we looking here? Okay, looking all right. Looking all right. Kind of let that bubble a bit. So kind of what I'm going for in the pan as far as the action, the kinetics, if you will. I'm looking for it to bubble and that sort of thing, but I don't want it to brown. So in fact, I can even just kind of do this for now. That's kind of good. So it looks like it's simmering. That's basically what it kind of looks like. And I have this on a medium minus sort of temperature. Because again, we don't want to brown this. That would be catastrophic. But I don't give a shit anyway, so because I'm going to eat it, so it's whatever. But it's visually better if it's just all white. Oh man, we're almost ready for round 2. Ding ding. Okay, so my milk is starting to simmer a little bit here, so now I'm going to turn the heat down. So I don't actually want to simmer the milk. That's not the goal. I just want it to be hot so that when I mix it with the butter, it's not going to be a drastically different temperature that then, yep, this needs to come down because it's going to boil over. Woo, caught that one in time. Yeah, if you have this temperature differential, when you mix these two things, the milk with the roux here, that's bad news. That's bad news. We don't want that. Okay, so I got my milk. Basically it's boiling. Turn that heat way down so it's kind of like a simmer. And this is still yellow, which is great. It's not turning brown. We're not browning it. It's got a good consistency to it. It's not too liquidy. Drink a little bit more. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to ladle in the milk a little bit at a time and make sure it kind of gets all mixed in there. Which I think, let me give this a little taste here. And now what I want to taste is not flour. Or raw flour. No, I don't see mold. Sage. Yeah. Sorry, I had to inform my producer what pate looks like. Anyway, okay, here we go. All right, this is looking great, and it's time to ladle in our milk. So I'm actually going to do 2 scoops at a time here, and stir this quite a bit. If you don't stir it, that's how you get lumps. And this, oh wow, this is amazing. The chemistry that just happened here. My consistency was pretty light, pretty thin. Now I'm stirring oatmeal. This looks like oatmeal, so we need more. Oh, it smells great. I can smell the cooked stuff in there. Let's integrate that. Scoop of milk. All right, we've gone from oatmeal to something between oatmeal and cup of wheat. Cup of wheat? What is it? Cream of wheat. That's it. Okay. I have a really thick cream of wheat going on here, which is still too thick. At the end result of this, when it's actually done, is going to be a sauce that will coat the back of a spoon just fine, but still kind of drip off of it. That's our end goal. I'm trying to get all around in the corners here. This pot, again, sucks based not only on the fact that it does not have a thick bottom, thick with 2 C's, it also has really crappy corners. Okay, this is still, look at that. You can see, actually might be okay with the consistency here. Let me give this a little more stirs, turn the heat down a teeny bit, and then I'm gonna try my spoon here. So, back of the spoon in, and then, nope. See how it's sticking there and it's not really falling off? That means it's too thick. Let's give it another ladle of milk. Now it's easy to add milk, of course, right? We just scoop some in. It's impossible to remove milk. It's kind of like salt, except this is worse. And the reason it's worse, this is a fun fact, you can't just add more whatever to thicken it, because the whatever that we would use to thicken it is the roux. And I don't have any roux just kind of hanging out here. And it's gonna take several minutes to make more roux, right? So we gotta be a little conservative as we add the milk, because we really don't wanna go too far down the liquidy side, because that would be bad. All right, let's give this another test here. Okay, that's pretty close. It kind of drips off, but it's thick and it coats the spoon. So I'm actually gonna call that good. So I don't need any more of this milk, which is great. This sauce is essentially done. So what I'm gonna do now is kill the heat. It's no longer necessary. Keep this stirring. I'm gonna make sure it's nicely homogenized. And then we need to season, and that means some salt. Just a little bit of sea salt, and then white pepper. Yeah, not the black stuff, the white pepper, which is hard to see and actually is brown in color. Okay, let's mix that all in and give it a taste test. So I've mentioned this many times before on my cooking show. It's more important to look, feel, and taste and sense the food you're making than it is to measure things and get the measurements right, except when you're baking. You must do things right when you're baking, because that is literal chemistry. But savory stuff like this, when you're not actually baking, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It should just be right. All right, let's give this a taste. Okay, it's creamy and nice. It needs a little more salt, because it should be a little more savory. It had a little bit of sweetness from the milk going on. Gonna work that in. All right, let's give this another try here. And yes, I have a whole bunch of spoons. Jesus. That is awesome. All right, and here's how we do this. First of all, let's get it all over the place. And then I'm gonna pour it through my sieve here. What? I know, right? And scoop it out as much as I can into the sieve. And what we're gonna do with the sieve here is, if there were any lumps, it doesn't look like I had too much in the way of lumps, so yay me, first time, and I didn't fuck it up. Anywho, get all that out of there. Oh, it's a great sound of metal on metal. Yep, sounds lovely. Okay. All right, and then just kind of push that through. If we did have any lumps, which we don't really. Cool. All right, this is done. I'm gonna actually reuse, and no, I'm gonna use something else to move that around. Okay, great, this is done. This is done. These are all dirty and done. Now we can make stuff. We got our sauce. Here's our sauce. It's off the heat, it's done. I need a way to serve it, which will be this spoon here. So I have my little serving spoon. This stuff is this milk is also kind of done and no longer needed. Move that over there. Okay, let's do the mac and cheese, and we're gonna do that first. All right, so here we go. I got my mixing bowl full of my pasta. Pasta's in there. And I'm going to add my cheese, of course. There's all my cheeses. Oh yeah, lots of cheese. I can't remember how much cheese I used. I wrote it down. I got a cup of the white cheddar. And I got a quarter cup of the Mott's. Now you could use other cheeses because they're also good. I ain't gonna lie. Other cheeses are delicious. Oh, I almost forgot. One last thing. We gotta add our egg yolks here to give this some extra creaminess. Okay, so I got my 2 egg yolks. Now we don't want to cook them, which is why this is kind of off heat, but egg yolks are going in if they want to. And then I'm going to integrate them into this. Now it's no longer a bechamel sauce, it is a mornay. All that eggy goodness in there. Now it's hot in there. I mean, this is a hot liquid. I don't have it overheat per se, but it is a hot liquid and it's retaining heat, and it will pasteurize these eggs so that nobody gets salmonella or anything like that. Even though the salmonella comes from the outside of the egg. Okay, great. Make more of a mess. That's the key. All right, so we had the noodles and the cheese. You should use actual like macaroni or something if you eat the carbs. I don't, but you know, there we go. So anyway, we got that. I'm going to add my shrimp. These particular shrimp have tails, and I don't want tails in my macaroni. I want to just be able to eat it. So there we go. I'm going to be sloppy as far as removing little bits of garlic. Little bits. So there will be little bits of garlic that get into the macaroni, and that's okay. It's a little extra flavor. If you do this on your own, I would recommend experimenting with all number and sort of cheeses. Gruyere. Gruyere is the traditional mornay sauce cheese that you would add. We're not doing Gruyere. I'm lucky enough to have found half of this shit at the grocery store. Anywho, by the way, you should get your groceries delivered. Like really, like don't go to the store. Waste of your time. It is, and it's cheap to get it delivered. I'm talking like $4, literally $3.95. Or you can pay for a subscription like we just did, and it's $8.25 a month for unlimited deliveries. Unlimited. Pays for itself after 2 deliveries, and you just got to order $30 worth of food every time. Who doesn't spend $30 on food when they go shopping? Think about that. Okay, so I got my noodles, I got my cheese, I got my shrimp in here, and I need to kind of mix it up. So that's next. What should I mix it with? I guess I'll use some tongs. But the star of today's show is the bechamel. So let's add some of that bechamel in there, because that's really what's going to give us the creamy deliciousness that kind of ties everything together and makes it into a coherent product. Now, obviously, the cheese is not melted yet, and that reminds me, I need to heat my oven up right now to maximum. I don't know what that is on here. I'm just gonna hold this up button until it stops. 500? 550. Cool. All right, it's on maximum. I'm not actually cooking anything at that temperature. That's not real. It's just basically so that when I throw this all into that cast iron there, and then I add a bunch of Parmesan on top, it cooks and makes a thing and is good. So that's how that looks. As far as how much sauce to add, just kind of mix it up here, and obviously I don't want it to be saucy, but I don't want it to be dry looking. This isn't dry looking per se, but you know, a little more sauce could be okay. A little more sauce. Keep this mix in here. Now, when Wolfgang did this, he actually added the sauce prior to adding all the other stuff, and I kind of forgot about that because I've been drinking, so it's okay. It's just going to be okay. There we go. All right, so let me give you a little view of this. Actually, I'm going to pour it into my cast iron, and then I'll give you a little view of this. So all this can come out. I kind of wish I had a smaller cast iron for this kind of portion size. This is not a huge portion size by any means. Let's actually get this here so I can scrape it out easier. Out of the mixing bowl into the pan. Oh yeah, cheesy goodness. Okay, so yeah, this is gonna look really small in this pan. Like really small in this pan. It's okay. All right, the cheese is unmelted. It's gonna melt in the oven when we get to that point in the cooking process. Also, the top crust that I'm gonna put on here in a minute is going to get crusty. All right, so let's talk about the crust. Like I said, breadcrumbs if you do that. If you don't, I got Parmesan cheese. Just a healthy dosage of that all up and down on here. And we actually are gonna need to add a little more S&P just to kind of finish that off. And maybe even more importantly, butter. Our spoon here. Some butter. I'm just going to add a little butter to the top in a couple of places. That does a couple things. Mostly it makes it taste great. Okay, great. All right, that butter's ready. That's all good to go. And while the oven's heating up, I'm actually going to cook this on high, and the point there is to try and give a little heat to the cast iron before it goes into the oven. You really want to use cast iron for this part here if you can. You can use your Pyrex or whatever you got if you don't have a cast iron, but you want the cast iron because you want it to be able to conduct the heat to all parts of the thing, top, bottom, middle, etc. This is like a dance move for electronic music right there. It's cool. Anyway, yeah, you want the heat going all over the place if you can. All right, back to things with our bechamel sauce. Probably shouldn't have touched that. That might have been dumb. Okay. Oh, right. Forgot a little bit of salt and pepper. Now, since I'm no longer in Sauceville, I can use black pepper, as you would. Nice little dosage of that on top. Kind of getting some flavor. Okay. Fantastic. Time for some cream spinach, our last dish. All right, so I've got my my spinach here. I squeeze the shit out of it to get all the water out, or as much of the water as I can out of it. Yep, that's a good amount of water out of there. All right. I have rinsed this pan that we were previously using. And I'm going to give that a quick dry off here. Looks great-ish. Let's give that some heat. We're going to heat that pan up. This is real simple. I mean, like, stupid simple. Oh, and I also forgot to use nutmeg. So I'll be adding a little bit of nutmeg to this, which is more of the German-Austrian sort of flair on this French mother sauce, if you will. Yeah, a little bit of nutmeg. You should do that to the bechamel sauce itself. All right, this is getting bubbly because the cheese is melting and stuff, which is great. And then it's going to get a nice crust once it goes in the oven. And once this heats up, I will add this. This is simple. Cream spinach is simple. You add the spinach, and then you add the bechamel sauce. And you mix it into a consistency that you like. That's it. It's real easy. All right, we got a few minutes here to drink, so let's do that. Uh-oh. We are cocktailless. Time for a refill. Let me put some butter in the fridge and get some more ice. Yeah. Were this a real show, someone would be following me with the camera. But that's not happening right now. I'm sure you can just kind of hear what's going on. I would hope so, at least. Okay. Wow, that mac and cheese is looking good. Except it's not mac. But it is cheese. Oh, yeah. How's that jazz music? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. And any other thoughts you have in the comments below. Why? Well, I'd like to make this more entertaining for people so that people watch for more than 36 seconds. But I don't think there's any way that I can physically do that. Anyway. If you haven't noticed, my Bloody Marys are pretty much 50% Worcestershire sauce and 50% vodka. Did you know the ancient Romans had a fermented anchovy fish sauce that was kind of, I mean, you could really consider it a precursor to Worcestershire sauce. You can. Glug, glug, glug. There's tomatoes like syrup. Oh, good. That's almost done, so I don't have to drink any more Bloody Marys. Okay, so the spinach pan is hot. So I'm going to take all this spinach that we drained. Actually, first things first, I should add a little oil. We always add a little oil. Mix that around. That's cool. All right, here comes the spinach. Fresh out of the cheesecloth. Look, it's a chunk. Doesn't that look gross? It sure does. All right. So the spinach is already cooked, so we don't really need to do anything as far as cooking goes here. And I can lower the heat substantially. It's actually a medium heat is totally fine. All right, while that's doing what that's doing, I'm gonna go ahead and scoop in a little bit of our sauce here. Okay, that wasn't on the heat anyway, and then mix it up. Now, if you've ever had cream spinach, you probably know that you don't want it to look like soup, because that's gross. What you do want it to do is to look like spinach and actually be able to taste the spinach. That's how you know it's good. Add a little bit more of that sauce. All right, our mac and cheese is basically on a low boil over here. Okay, wow, I can smell this. That needs more, and anyway, I know the oven's still preheating, but that's okay because we're just trying to get a crust on this, so I'm gonna throw this in here. All right, off with that. And give this a stir. More cream sauce. Béchamel, more mornay sauce. In. Oh, wow, I'm out. That's all there is. I hope that's all I need. We'll see. God, the sauce is so good. There we go. Now we're getting the consistency that I want. All right, so tonight's a little different than usual also because I'm going to be sharing my food with Erica. I don't usually do that because usually there's beef. So I can't just like dish out a serving to show the camera, you know what I usually do. We gotta, maybe I don't know, show like the whole completed dishes or something like that. I don't know what the show looks like. What's the reveal? What's the big reveal? God, I should have made more sauce. Not enough sauce. Yeah, let's give this a mix here while we're doing that. Okay, so the way Wolfgang Puck does this is he serves it with a fried egg for each serving, which is cool, and it's like, you know, a thing back to his childhood or whatever, and that's fine. That's not what I'm doing, because I mean, I know that's cool and all, but it's not really necessary. Anyway, let me give you a quick glimpse of this. I know you can't see it, but that's cream spinach right there. Yeah, exactly, right? It's delicious. It's good stuff. Of course, I didn't season this at all, so I am going to need to do that. A little bit of salt. And you know what? Just to keep with the theme, let's go with the white pepper here. A little white pepper. Kind of mix that in. Oh, it's so gooey. You know, it's probably a little more gooey than I'd like. If I had more of the sauce, I would add more bechamel for sure. Okay, let's see what this tastes like before we serve it to people. That needs more sauce. It's right though. You can taste the spinach. You should be able to taste the spinach when you eat cream spinach. It shouldn't taste like cream. I mean, it should be creamy in texture. And you should be able to kind of Taste that for sure, and the butter and etc. I mean, there is basically a roux that's going on as a base for this flavor, which is actually really subtle. The way this turned out, because again, I think I need more sauce, but you can when you take a bite, you taste spinach with accoutrement. Yeah, spinach with accoutrement. All right, let's try that one more time. Another little piece here. Nailed it. All right. All right, how's this going? Oh, just a little more. Kind of get that cheese. So I'm not sure that that's really going to brown up like I would otherwise expect it to, because yes, it is Parmesan cheese, but you know what? It's like it doesn't have any breadcrumbs. It doesn't have any breadcrumbs. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna clean up a little bit. Move some stuff out of the way. Nailed it. Okay. Let's move this off to the side because it's ready to go. And let's check our not mac and cheese. And that looks pretty good to go too. I'm gonna hit that in the off position. Grab. There we go. This is tough because it's cast iron, and this pan is heavy. Like, no joke, super heavy. Especially when you got stuff in it. Oh, look at that. You see it? Yeah, that's quote unquote mac and cheese, except there's no mac, just a ton of cheese. Oh, it's got all that liquefied butter just kind of flowing all over the top. Now, if it were a proper dish, like with the breadcrumbs or whatever, they would absorb that butter, and that would actually be what causes the browning. But since we have no breadcrumbs, in fact, we have like no carbs whatsoever in either of these dishes, that's not a thing. Oh yeah, the cat just said hello. Yeah, I know it's her dinner time in about 8 minutes, and she's a little antsy. Okay. I'm gonna let that cool down from thermonuclear, and then plate it up. Let's plate it up. Couple of plates here. Kind of novel. Man, I can just looking at that, it's still bubbling. So this one took a while. It was an hour almost, 50 minutes. It's a long show, but you know, we got our drink on. Had a good time. I feel like singing a song like Mr. Rogers would. That seems like the appropriate thing to do right now. There we go. Okay. Everything's cleanish. All right, I don't know how to serve this. Tongs? Tongs, I guess. Tongs and a scoop. All right, well, there's a scoop, and here's some tongs. All right, let's see what we can do. Oh, yeah. Let's kind of mix that in there. Okay, so that got me some noodles covered in cheeses that are all melted, and then, oh yeah, look at that. I got browned cheese, some shrimp. Let's get that. I get more of that. Yep, okay, looks good. Just kind of slap that on a plate. I'm not good at this plating shit, mostly because I don't care. Okay, well, that's on a plate. And next up, let's do some of this spinach without the fried egg, because I'm not Austrian. I know, right? I thought I was too, but it turns out not so much. Not Austrian. Okay, this is horribly plated, but you get the idea. It's also incredibly hot. Here it is, coming at you. So we have healthy spinach covered in cream sauce, which is delicious. And then our mac and cheese, which is actually made with faux spaghetti product, and shrimp, garlic shrimp that we added on in there, and a ton of cheese, and these little brown bits. That's not because I messed up my sauce. I nailed it with the sauce. That's just the cheese that kind of browned in the thing when we stuck the thing in the oven on the stove, in the cast iron stuff. Okay? All right, so this is delicious, and I'm gonna eat it and continue my drinking and make a plate for Erica over there. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll check you out next time. Adios.